So today I will be sharing the story of my first woman relationship. And it starts off very nice. So we're just going to start this story from the beginning. I met this girl and I just really liked her, and it was my first time actually liking a woman. Not really my first time, but the first time admitting to myself that I liked women. And I had just gotten out of a relationship with a man. And so it was very new to me, but I knew that I liked her. So I was like, let's just explore this and see where it takes me. I don't know. I'm not going to ignore my feelings anymore. Whatever. And she had come out a long time ago. She was kind of like masculine and whatever, but had longer hair. So it was kind of in the middle. And I just really fell for her, and we had very deep conversations. I loved how much of a business person she was, and she was very driven, and it was just really cool to see somebody that was kind of on the same timeline as me. She was a little bit older, and she had her own house, and I was just really inspired by this girl, and I really liked her. So I was like, hey, let's see what happens with this. So we started talking, and I really fell for her really hard. She basically proved to me that she was everything that I wanted her to be. And I ended up moving in with her after about a month of talking to her. And I never lived on my own. I had lived with my parents my whole life until I turned about 22 is when I moved in with her. And yeah, it was just pretty cool. I was like, this is pretty cool. I like her and I'm gonna move in with her. And it was pretty fun. And for the first 6 months, I just fell head over heels for this girl. She was so sweet to me, so amazing, so nice, and just like this person that I always wanted. And I never thought I could truly be with a woman and be happy. So it was just this huge revelation for me. I was like, wow, this is actually pretty nice. So yeah, I had come out to my parents before that, and then so I was with her, and yeah, this is where shit kind of starts hitting the fan. After 6 months, I realized it was kind of like a love bombing type thing. She had explained to me that her past girlfriend, the one right before me, they would get into fights, and there was a lot of bad things involved and all this crazy stuff. And I was she kind of blamed it on her, and I was oh, well, she must be kind of crazy, your little ex-girlfriend. But really the truth was I'm not gonna blame anybody. I don't know, whatever. And actually I am gonna blame somebody, because this is a podcast about being very true and very true to myself and who I think, exactly what I think about people. We are holding people to their true accountability, and I am not going to sugarcoat shit anymore. And I'm sorry if this offends anybody or if anybody comes for me. I don't really care at this point. It's whatever. So after about 6 months, it got really toxic, and it was really bad. There was emotional and physical abuse involved, and there would be times where we would just argue all day about the stupidest little things, like me not cleaning up, or me not reaching my fullest potential to where she wanted me to be. And I've always been this very laid back, chill person, go with the flow type stuff. And she was very you gotta do this right now, we gotta go, we gotta get this going. And I'm hold on, I gotta chill. And it didn't really work out in the way that I thought it would. But I was kind of very attached to this girl because it was my first lesbian relationship. I was so in love and so happy. And yeah, so I just kind of got really attached to this. And maybe about a year later, I tried to leave out of this toxic relationship, and I went to my parents' house, and I came and I was just you know what, this isn't working out for me, and I might move back in. And I told my mom, and then she texted me. I got a little text, and it said, let's go get the dog you wanted to get, which this was my dream dog. She had known this. My dream dog was a French bulldog, my whole life I've always wanted a French bulldog. She said, let's go get this puppy. And of course I said, okay. I said, yeah, let's go. And silly little me went to go get this puppy and move back in with her. And then that's where stuff just started getting worse and worse and worse. There would be times where, let's just start off from this one circumstance. We were at a concert and we had gotten a drink, and I didn't like straws. This sounds so stupid when I tell this story, but it's actually the truth. I didn't like straws, so I took the straw and I threw it. I said, I don't want this. I didn't throw it. I threw it away. And she got livid at me. She was like, you know, I like straws, so why would you do that? Like, why are you so selfish? Like, blah, 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 blah. Got so mad at me, left me at the function, went into her car, and when I tried to get into the car, she said, no, I'm leaving you here. And I was trying to get a ride home. It was about an hour away from our home that we lived together. So I was very scared and worried. I didn't want to be left in the middle of the city at 2 a.m. So I was just freaking out, and she was trying to pull me out of the car, and I was kicking and screaming and freaking out, okay? So yeah, that was a little thing that happened, and I was very scared. And let's go back to another time, our first vacation together. So we were going to Las Vegas, and that was my first time actually, like, not my first time flying. The only time I flew before that was in Florida when I was like 10 years old with my parents, so they did everything for me. So yeah, she told me to rent a car, which I was under the age of somebody that can rent a car. You have to be like a certain age, and I was very much younger than that. And I didn't know how to rent a car. So I was like, I don't really know how to do that, and I can't really do that. So once we got in the airport, we got to Las Vegas, we went to the rental car company, and she started screaming at me because I didn't rent a car, and I couldn't, and the rental car places were closed. So that was just a huge issue. So she started freaking out and just screaming at the top of her lungs. And then we're waiting at the bus stop or somewhere to get an Uber to where we were supposed to go. It was about like 20 minutes away from the airport. We were going to meet with our friends, and she just started screaming uncontrollably, telling me to get the frick out of her face, to leave, to go somewhere and stop following her, and to go get a hotel somewhere so she could leave and go hang out with her friends, and I would be stuck there. And she said, go find a hotel that you could stay at for this time, and I'm just gonna go to my friend's house. And I said, okay. And then actually we ended up getting an Uber together because she changed her mind like 10 minutes later and let me actually come, which was nice, right? Wrong. And then once we got out of the Uber, I accidentally left the camera that she had gotten me in the Uber, and let me tell you, I've never heard somebody scream so loud, like this blood-curdling scream, in my entire life. I was kind of like so scared and shocked because it was like kind of like the flip of a switch. And I understand that people have gone through things, people have been through trauma and all these things, but I feel like you shouldn't get into a relationship if you know that you are triggered by certain things, and you shouldn't really take it out on other people. You know, I'm so traumatized from being in this relationship that it's like, even when somebody raises their voice, I'm literally scared. I've gotten a lot better. I've been to therapy and everything, but she screamed so loud to the point where her friends had heard her, and they came out trying to calm her down out of the apartment complex. And she was just calling me names, saying like, fuck you, like, you're this, you're stupid, you're dumb, like, blah, blah, blah. And I said, I was freaking out because I was like, this person's just screaming at me. I don't know what to do. And I thought they were going to attack me. So I called the Uber and I was like, can you please come back? And he's probably just hearing her scream in the background, like, yeah, I should probably bring this camera back so this girl doesn't get killed right now. And he came back within like 2 minutes, and I got my camera back, and it wasn't that big of a deal. And that's how I kind of go throughout life. Like, I know that like everything is going to work out in my favor and that everything will be fine. And I take it very easy, but some people don't. And I've realized now that I need to be around other people that are chill, that are calm, and know that everything's going to fold into place the way that it's supposed to. And when I hang out with people that are kind of like strung on being negative and being not positive about things, it's going to go wrong and I'm going to be scared. So this has all been such a learning journey for me. And from then on, I was very, very scared to ever go anywhere with her, because like the anxiety that she had before we would go on planes was scary. It was really scary. And, you know, people have been through things, so I understand that. But at the same time, don't be with somebody if you know you have trauma. Go to therapy and work through your problems. And even if you go to therapy, it's like you need to take time for yourself to realize like what you are doing to people. Because I am such a soft girl. I need to go get my bird. Okay. I'm such a soft girl, and I need to be around other people that are soft and other people that understand that like my emotions are kind of like more, my emotions are are a little softer than other people's, and you have to take me easy. Like I've always been that type of person, and it might be because I don't know why. It's just how I was raised and how I learned I like to be. I like to be with other soft people and people that understand my feelings and take my feelings into consideration, and not people that are mean to me and call me names. And anyways, hello. So after that, there was times where we would be planning to go on vacation and I would be legit scared for my life. And this one time I was like, well, I don't know, she was upset with me for some reason, and then she threw my what are they called, Nintendo, on the ground and broke it. I was like, what the heck? So I was immediately like very, very scared after that, and I purposely forgot my ID at home, which is kind of bad on my part. I should have just explained that I was really scared to go, but at the same time, I was scared to even say my feelings, you know, because I was scared of the backlash and like them being like, oh, you're scared? Like, let me give you a reason to be scared. Like, no, I'm not going to tell my feelings to somebody who doesn't understand them. And so I just forgot my ID. And then once I got there, I was like being screamed at. I was so scared. And I remember seeing like police officers and her just screaming at me in the middle of the airport, and I'm like, why isn't anybody helping me? And that was an issue for a very long time. I always wondered, why isn't anybody helping me? Why isn't anybody speaking up? Why isn't anybody like noticing how I'm being treated? But I needed to do something for myself. Nobody was gonna say nothing because they're scared of this person. I'm scared of this person, so I need to stand up for myself, and I need to do what's right for myself. And I didn't realize that till a very, very long time into the relationship. So yeah, I forgot my ID, and they ended up letting me through anyways, and I was traumatized. I was very scared. I got very much yelled at for a very long time because I forgot my ID, and yeah. And so fast forward, we were together for 5 years. It was a very much trauma bond. And fast forward to, I think it was like 3 years into the relationship. It was on and off sometimes, just like, I don't know. We broke up for a year. That's the most time we took apart. And before we broke up for a year, it was really bad. And we were like separating, and we worked together, so we had a business together, and that was the biggest, like, hardest thing that I had to go through, was just leaving the business behind and everything I had worked for. And so we were working together, and we were hanging out with this guy, and I had identified as a lesbian for this whole time, and we were hanging out with this guy, and basically, he pooped. Basically, she was treating me so crappy, and we weren't together at this time at all, and she was treating me very terribly, and he kind of called it out, and he was like, why are you with this person? Like, what are you doing? And I was like, and he stood up for me, and I was like, that was the first person that stood up for me and the whole time that we had been together. And I was like, whoa, Like, this person sees what I see. Like, I thought I was going crazy, and I thought it was me for this whole entire time. I thought I was the issue, or like I had a reason to be treated this way, you know, like I was doing something wrong. And so I was like, oh my gosh, you're like Jesus, like, thank you for saving me. And not really like Jesus, but you get what I mean. And so me and him started talking, and then so I identified as bi at that point. And once she found out that we were talking, I went on a little vacation with my friends, not even with him. And we were barely even talking, like me and this guy. I was just like, thank you for saving me. I moved out of her house at this point as well, so I wasn't living with her. I was living with my friend. And when I went on vacation, she had slashed my tires and keyed the word snake into my BMW. My BMW. She slashed 2 of my tires and keyed my car, and I got home from vacation, and that's what I came home to. And so, of course, she would threaten me. She would, and also, I was walking with one of my friends on the street in Chicago, and somehow she had passed by me. I don't know where she came from, how we were in the same place at the same time. I was like, this is kind of crazy and scary. And she attacked me and started punching me as hard as she could, and she wouldn't stop. And I just literally sat there like this, like I was so scared, until my friend punched her, and then she left. And I was like, okay. At that point, I got a restraining order because I was so scared. I was literally felt like I was going to be fucking killed. Like, I was scared for my life, you guys. And I was scared every day that somebody would come to my house and mess with my things or try to come in my house and attack me. And I was living in fear for so long in my life. And fast forward a year. I was in a really rough place in my life, and I was drinking a lot. I was smoking and doing all this fun little stuff, and I reached out to her. Yep, I reached out to her, and I was like, you know what, I kind of miss you. What is wrong with me? But it's the trauma bond, you guys. I went back to something that was familiar, and I realize that now, and I'm stupid. I get that. I'm not stupid. I'm just a little silly. But I did need that time back to understand that this is not what I want. And this is like, this, I think he agrees that it was a bad idea, right? It was a bad idea, and I get that now. And so we got back together, and it was really nice at first, just like when we first started talking, when we first started dating. I was like, oh, she's actually changed. She told me so many times how much she changed and like how she's different now. And like, I truly saw that. Like, I saw that she was different and she was being so much nicer. And she's like, I've been going to therapy and all this stuff. And I was like, thank God, because you know what? I reached out to you because she really did love me at the end of the day. You know, she loved me. I don't know. I don't know if somebody like that actually loves you. I don't think they did, but I thought she did. And I think she just really loved. So many times she would say that, like, oh, don't not chew on my poster. So many times she would say, like, people only like you because of your looks, you're stupid, and like all this stuff. And so I really thought that, like, I was like just a dumb person and nobody would ever truly like me for who I am. And so I just felt so bad about myself. And when we got back together, it was just like, it was really nice at first. And it kind of brought me back to the beginning of our relationship. And I was like, wow, you know, like she changed. Wrong. Yeah. So we just went back into the same patterns, and I moved back in with her because I was really going through it, you guys, like, and she offered for me to move back in, and I had a very tough time at the place that I was at, and I needed to leave abruptly. And we'll go into that in a future time, and we'll go into everything that happened to me during that time. But that's a story for the future. And it was just, it seemed like the best choice for me at the time. I felt like everything was working out very good, but it was actually just stuff was hitting the wall. But it was making me realize that you know, this isn't what I want. this is not the type of person I want to be with. And I needed to realize that for myself and go through that again in order to close that door and shut that door and walk right out, okay? So we were back together for less than a year, but during that time, I lost myself. I lost myself in the business we had. I lost myself with her doing what she wants me to do, of me just truly not being myself because I was scared of being my true self. And I didn't really realize how much I lost myself until I got out of the relationship, and I was like, you know what? Like, this isn't right. And I just felt like depressed after a while, and I didn't fully... Lewis, get out of the camera! Get out! I truly didn't realize how much it was affecting me until I was out of it. And, you know, you need to take time for yourself in order to... You need to take time for yourself in order to realize what's actually going around you. And for so long, I just felt like it was me because she told me it was me. And she told me that, like, I struggle with these things and I'm avoidant and I have avoidant personality disorder. So sometimes it's hard for me to express my feelings, but I don't feel like I should be treated a certain way just because I am who I am. And now that I've been going to therapy, I've been realizing so much about myself and so much about who I deserve to be with. And I'm just so thankful for everything I've gone through. Although it was bad, it shaped me into the person I am today. And I really do thank her for showing me about business, and she's a great person in that aspect, and she's really hard worker, and she kind of pushed me to have my own business and do all these great things with my life, and I am very grateful for that. But I'm not grateful for being torn down and being made into this person that I'm not, because for so long I just felt like I was terrible. And now I'm realizing that I'm not that bad. I'm not bad. And now taking this time to myself has made me really realize that I deserve so much better. And people like that are always going to struggle with things and always going to make it seem like the other person is the problem. And if you get with somebody and they say all their exes are crazy and all their exes need help or all their exes are the problem, you need to take a big look at the person you are with and realize that it might be them. It might just be. And the last trip we ever went on was last year in October. And we went to my favorite place in the world, Colombia, at my grandma's house. And I've always been so hesitant to bring anybody to my grandma's house just because I respect them so much. And it's just like a very holy, amazing place for me. Just a place where, like, I feel at most myself and my favorite place in the world. So it's very just, like, sacred to me. So I've always been very hesitant bringing anybody there. But I brought her because she was begging me from the time that we met to take her, and I felt like if I didn't, I wouldn't be like a real girlfriend, you know, like it wouldn't be true to me to not take her. And I just was torn down and felt so bad by not taking her. And so I did, and it was the worst decision of my life. But it also opened my eyes to so much because it made me realize how I was being treated. My grandma noticed immediately that I wasn't being treated the way that I should be, and I care about my grandma's opinions more than a lot of people. And she took me aside and she was like, you know what, like, they told me that she was going to propose to me at Colombia, and she was like, just make sure this is a choice that you want in your heart, and you need to really reevaluate like how you feel about it, because I think this is coming up and you needed to know, because I didn't really know. I didn't know that I was being proposed to there. And yeah, I felt like I was kind of talked into being proposed to, and it was like I was a bad person because I didn't want commitment, but really it was like I was scared of commitment with this person. I'm not scared of commitment. Maybe I am a little bit, but with the right person, I feel like it will come very effortlessly, and I won't be scared to be with them for the rest of my life, whenever that may be. I'm not rushing anything or pushing myself to be with somebody. I know when the feeling is right, it's going to come and it's going to be great. But it wasn't. It wasn't. And I just cried to my grandma, and I told her, like, you know, like, I know people struggle with things and people have trauma, but I don't feel like I deserve to be treated this way because of trauma from somebody else, you know? And yeah. There were just a lot of things that happened on that trip. Like, I was left in the middle of nowhere with no service and all these things. And at the airport on our way back, she left me and tried to cancel my ticket on the way home. And then once we got to the airport in Chicago, she just left me at the airport with no way to get home. And I had to take a train home. And it was great. I just want to add that I was not a great person throughout this relationship, especially towards the end. I turned into a person that I never thought I would be, you know, and I treated people not with kindness. And I really regret who this turned me into. And once I realized that I was turning out of character, it was like I needed to take a step back and really reevaluate my life, because what I care about is being kind to others and treating everybody fairly and treating people how I always want to be treated. And when I realized that this was making me be just like not a good person, I really took a step back and I was like, you know what? I need to reevaluate my life and who I surround myself with, because for so long they made me feel like I was the issue, like my family was an issue, like I shouldn't surround myself even with my immediate family members because they were bad. And it was like I felt so isolated. Every single friend I was with, it was like they were bad or they were doing something wrong, and I just felt so stuck. And I'm very glad to be out of it. I feel like that relationship has torn me down into nothing. And I was literally just this like ball of anxiety and stress and worry. And I didn't truly take that into consideration until I took a step back for myself and I was alone with my thoughts and not really avoiding the feelings by getting with somebody else or avoiding anything. You know, like I am not taking my time to distract myself from my feelings anymore. I'm truly sitting in these terrible feelings. And it feels so sad, but so liberating at the same time to realize that I am who I am and I love who I am, and nobody else can ever take that away from me anymore. And although, like, I went through hell and back, it shaped who I am today. And I'm grateful for every step, no matter how hard it was. And, you know, when they say that, like, the toughest battles are given to the strongest people, or I feel like I went through this in order to tell my story and to help anybody who is going through anything like this. And when they say, "Are you pooping?" Okay, get. Anyways. I feel like I'm put on this earth to tell my story and to help anybody who might be going through the same thing. And what I hate about being in a girl with girl relationship or a lesbian relationship, they say that, like, physical abuse, you guys are just fighting. Like, you guys are just fighting with each other. Like, just because you are a girl doesn't give you any reason to hit another girl. I don't care what it is. It's still physical abuse. Okay? Like, you're not just fighting. And some of my friends would even say that. And it's like, it's so terrible to just say that. And physical abuse is physical abuse. Mental abuse is even worse sometimes. I'd rather get hit than to be mentally abused and deal with these things in my head for a long time, you know, and have to, like, recover in my mental for so long. But I'm very glad, because I am such, like, a different person now, and I understand that I went through these things for a reason. And if anybody else is going through this, don't hesitate to reach out to me and ask me for help, because I am willing to talk to anybody about this and help anybody. And I don't really care about the backlash it gets her if she comes to my house and keys my car again. Because, you know, I've grown as a person, and I shouldn't feel wrong to tell my story, and my story is meant to be told. At the end of the day, my story is meant to be told, and I'm going to tell it as true as it is. And I didn't sugarcoat anything, I didn't lie about anything, and yeah, I love you guys.